I'm so excited to see you all tonight. I am so excited to see our winter data because I've heard what a difference you're making in our classrooms. And that is great news. And I appreciate all the work that goes in, that you are doing to make that happen. There are a few rooms who they feel like their kids are past those beginning literacy skills that we worked on, the first 6 strategies, and that they're ready for some comprehension strategies, and so that's our work tonight. I'm going to introduce 2 different comprehension strategies. One the kids and the teachers are very familiar with because they do it daily almost in their lessons. And the other might be new to some of the teachers, probably not, but it might be. And will be new probably to you. And it will really help our most struggling kids with comprehension really try to take this invisible thing that's going on in their head of comprehension and make it more visual. And so that's why we're working on the one strategy tonight. So you have 2 handouts, I think. One, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. One says comprehension interventions, and the other ones should be just like graphic organizers. My top one says storyboard. I don't know what your top one is. Yes? Okay. All right. So if you take the handout that says comprehension interventions and you go to the first page, you'll notice that it is storyboarding. So storyboards are one of several comprehension strategies that you can use with kids, but this one is the one I was speaking about when I said for our most struggling readers with comprehension, this is a process that will help the kids make it visual. Okay, comprehension is an invisible process in your head, and for some kids that doesn't make sense to them, that they should have something, like they should be thinking in their head. I had a story of a colleague of mine, and his little one, under 5 years old, was reading, and one day he says, "Oh my gosh, this is supposed to make sense." And, yeah, it's all of a sudden it clicked for that child that comprehension was the key to all this reading stuff. But for some of our most struggling readers, that is a hard thing for them, that they don't understand, hey, this should make sense as I read it. So storyboarding can help them do that. There are several storyboard examples I have in your packet. There's not a right or a wrong template for storyboarding. In fact, you can take a sheet of paper, just a regular old sheet of paper, and draw boxes on it and make a storyboard out of it. So this is something you can do and apply if you have kids of your own and you're in a restaurant and you're waiting for that waiter to come with your food. You know, you can do it on the back of a placemat and do a quick story and do storyboarding. You don't need anything fancy for this. I do expect that we're going to ask the coaches if the teacher will have ready whatever they want you to use, just like they have for everything else. The very first one in your packet is it's for younger children or kids who are really struggling with printing words, and that all that they have to do is draw, okay? And it only asks for the beginning, something from the beginning of the story, something from the middle, and something from the end of the story. So again, it's helping kids realize that there is a beginning, middle, end, and that there is a story going on here that I should be paying attention to, but it doesn't ask them to print anything, which will save some of the cognitive resources that they might be using. The next template, you'll notice, is the 3 again. It does not say beginning, middle, end this time, because you can use this with older kids, and possibly you're not doing beginning, middle, end. Possibly you're only doing 1 or 2 pages, and asking them to pick out the 3 most important points of the page, or 2. So that's why it does not say beginning, middle, end. But you'll notice that has lines, because along with the picture, we ask them to write a few sentences about what they drew to help us, or a few words if they're really young, about what they drew, to help us really help them connect the print with the thinking of what's going on in the story. The next one is for a younger child, but a younger child who is good with print and might be able to give you more details of the story. So a little bit higher maybe of a younger child. The reason I say it's for a child, maybe not younger isn't the right word, but one that struggles with print, is because there is just the one line. Okay, so we aren't asking for lots of print at all. We're just saying, can you give us 1 or 2 words about your picture? But you notice that there's 6 boxes in the sequence, so we are seeing if they can recall up to 6 of the parts of the story. So that's getting more complex than this first one where we were just saying beginning, middle, end. Okay, because we're asking for up to 6 parts of this story. The last one is the most complex. It has lots of lines for them to write, and then it's first, next, then last. Again, it can be done with 1 page or a couple of pages, or it can be done with an entire story. But this is the most complex chart, and I really don't imagine that if teachers choose to use these, that many will use this one, okay? Because this one is pretty high level. But I did want you to see the stages. That's why I wanted you to have all 4 tonight, so you can see that comprehension really is a building process. So we start working with comprehension with kids, fairly simplistically, and if they can't comprehend it all, then beginning, middle, end is awesome for them. And just staying there for a while is a great thing. And then we just build upon it. And I wanted to show you how you might build with the graphic organizers, through the graphic organizers. For some kids, they might draw, or some kids might even need to verbally talk to you first about the story, and then you might need to encourage them what the picture might look like, just depending on what level they're at. So it's okay that after you read together with the storyboard, that you just talk about what the 3 beginning, middle, end might be with them, and try to prompt them along before they even start to draw. Okay? That's an okay thing to do. I encourage us, I'm like, what did I write? Oh, that's all I got this morning. So I would encourage you to make it, because you know that you're limited time with the kids, to encourage stick figures or fairly, if they get real detailed in their drawing, then they're not going to get real far. So really with storyboards, when we're in an intervention type thing, we want it to be like quick pictures. Now, for some of the kids that's going to be hard, because art might be the one thing that they blow at, right? And so they'll want to do these real detailed pictures. And then I included in the next slide some examples of what they might look like finished. And this one's actually in your comprehension strategy packet as well at the bottom of that sheet. So this is a storyboard. This person, this teacher didn't even have a template. They just used a plain piece of paper. They divided that plain piece of paper into 6 squares. And can you tell what the story is by looking at it? Cinderella. Okay? And so the student was asked, they asked the student to pick out the 6 parts of the story that were most important for Cinderella, and that's what the child drew. How advanced is this child in their printing? Pretty good? Okay. What makes you feel like they're pretty good? You can read it, but also you can, a lot of the spelling's correct. It's flowing along. You could tell right away what story it was, right? You could tell it was Cinderella. And so pretty advanced child here with a storyboard. So if you look at the steps as a procedure above that, to get this result, this is what the teacher did. the teacher had the child read a short text, and they supported the child's reading as needed with the decoding, just like you've been doing. Keep using those great decoding strategies as you're working with reading the text. Then they gave the child a sheet of paper. The teacher had drawn the 6 blank boxes on it. They helped the child pick out those 6 key details, which is great, especially like I said, our kids who struggle the most with comprehension. They need your support, is really to help them think through. Now, what was the story saying? What happened next? Did that happen then, or did something else happen first, etc. Okay. And then they decided how they were going to draw a cartoon version of it and write down a few words about their drawing, and then they were finished. Okay. Does this sound like a one-time thing for you with the amount of time you have? Not really, does it? Okay. So I can see that a storyboard might take more than one session for you because your kids are in and out really fast, depending on the child, the length of the book, etc. This one, for you, if you had read the story and everything, would have been more than a one-time session probably with you. Okay, so that's okay. It could be that the teacher says, we've already read the story, I just want you to work on the storyboard. That the teacher will tell you where they're at in the process. Okay. Questions on the procedure? I'm going to show you one more. Nope, this one's kind of hard to see. They read the book, and the reason I like this one is because it shows that there's not a right or wrong as far as the format goes. So they took the title of the book and put it in the square right in the center, and then they, this is a younger child because there's no print, but it is a fairly detailed drawing, and you can kind of get the idea of what happened in the story as you look at the pictures. In the end, I think the rabbits won, or whatever those little figures are. Okay. And so, that's another example of a storyboard. Again, might have taken the child the entire time they were with you to do something like that, but we weren't, the drawing is fairly fast, you can see. Not a detailed expert.
I'm just wondering if anybody's sitting there thinking, oh my God, I can't draw. Because I can't draw. And if any of you would know any of the bazillion kids that I've taught, I can draw one thing. I can draw a swan. I know it's a weird thing to be able to draw. Somebody taught me how to draw a really cool swan. So we would do storyboarding. I taught first and second grade for 20 years. And we would do storyboarding. I didn't even know what it was called because that's how old I am. And I would always do a swan in a lake. And then I would do a problem in the next picture, and a solution, and then an ending. And kids got it. And they would always say, draw a horse. And then I'd try to draw a horse. It'd be like a ball, with an ear. I don't know how to draw anything. I can draw stick people. But I would, if I were sitting there and I didn't know how to draw, I'd be panicking, thinking, holy cow. But some of the fun is in the kids looking at your drawing too. And you showing them, or if they're struggling, say, let me draw that cat for you. I don't know. But it's more, we used to have kids draw vocabulary words when they didn't know how to explain them. Sometimes they could draw them. You'd be surprised if you and your coach are talking about a student that they want you to move forward in comprehension, what kids will come up with through pictures that they could never say. That they could just never say. And for a lot of our struggling kids, they could come up with this elaborate story, or they could retell a story that they could never retell with words. It's just some kids have that need to see things or to draw things, and it's not really the level of the artistry. It's more that they're getting the comprehension piece out. It's just another way for us to hit comprehension, and we do see struggling readers often respond to this. So I know when we were looking at, we had a bunch of comprehension strategies we were looking at with the coaches, trying to choose 2 to train you on. And when they did storyboarding, there were a couple of the coaches from Eisenhower, people that I worked with, they're like, oh, I know you hate this one. I said, I don't hate it, I just can't draw. But you can let the kids draw, but sometimes you have to model it. So,
yeah. I can't draw either, but it's all right. Like I said, they don't have to be pictures for perfection, or anything like that. So we're going to practice. I brought some books, and I'm going to have you work with the person at your table, and I think I only could find, I was trying to find text we could read fairly quickly and do this fairly quickly, but, and so I might only have 11, and I think there might be 12 tables, so we might have to split one table up, otherwise you'll be working with your partner.